So today we're going to do a deep dive into one of the biggest stories in the UK housing market right now.
hmm
We're looking at first-time buyer activity, specifically in the year to September 2025. And the data is, well, it's pretty staggering.
It really is.
First-time buyer borrowing didn't just go up, it absolutely exploded.
Mhm.
We're talking a jump of nearly a third, 30% year on year. Okay, let's unpack this.
And that 30% figure, it translates into some record-breaking numbers. Over that period, lenders forwarded a record 82.8 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, 82.8 billion in mortgage debt to around 390,000 first-time buyers. It shows a huge appetite out there.
So the mission for us is clear. Why did this massive rush happen, and
Mhm.
what does it really signal about getting on the ladder right now?
Well, the initial driver was our classic human psychology, really. It was time pressure.
Okay.
There was a massive rush to get transactions through before the stamp duty holiday came to an end.
Right, the stamp duty holiday. And for anyone who's not completely familiar, that's just the tax you pay when you buy a property.
Yeah.
What was the crucial deadline?
So the nil rate threshold for first-time buyers was set to drop. It was going from £425,000 all the way back down to its old level of £300,000
That was on March 31st.
on March 31st, exactly. And that difference meant buyers were facing a tax bill thousands of pounds higher if they were just a few weeks too late.
So you saw a rush.
A huge rush. Mortgage applications spiked by something like 130% right at the start of the year.
Okay, so that's the clear short-term incentive, save thousands on tax.
Mhm.
But a temporary tax break can't be the whole story, surely?
No, not at all.
What was the quieter thing happening in the background that actually helped people qualify for these loans?
That's the deeper and I think more crucial part of the story. At the same time, the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, revised its guidance.
The regular.
The regulator, yeah. And it was a technical change, but it had a profound impact.
How so? I mean, how did that translate into actual money for someone trying to get their foot in the door?
Essentially, it gave banks a bit more room to maneuver. They eased the mandatory stress testing rules.
Right.
So before, banks had to check if you could afford your mortgage if rates shot up to some really high theoretical number. The new guidance lowered that number.
So instantly you could qualify for more.
Instantly. It just changed the math for thousands of applicants,
Yeah.
making finance fundamentally more accessible.
So when you put those two things together, the regulatory easing and the lower borrowing costs we saw in 2025, the claim is pretty bold, isn't it?
It is. The claim is that home ownership is now more accessible than at any point in the last 3 years.
So what does this all mean for the future then? Is this momentum going to last beyond this sort of perfect storm?
The general expectation is yes, it will carry on into 2026. The main driver now will be interest rates.
You mean further drop?
Further drops in central rates, which will feed through to mortgage rates and just make that debt burden a little bit easier for new borrowers.
And we can't ignore the rental market in all this, can we?
Yeah.
The pressure from that side must be immense.
Oh, absolutely. The shortage of rental properties, the rising costs, it's a real pressure cooker.
Yeah.
For many, buying is just an escape from those awful monthly payments.
So to wrap this all up, this massive surge was fueled by a powerful trio of forces.
Mm-hmm.
You had the structural easing from the FCA,
Yeah.
the time pressure from the stamp duty deadline, and just a more favorable rate environment.
Exactly. And that accessibility is the real headline here. But it does raise a final, pretty important question for you to think about.
Okay.
While falling rates are great for new buyers, they are also expected to make existing homeowners more active. They can move up the ladder, take on a slightly bigger loan,
Increase their own budgets.
increase their budgets precisely. So the question is, will the increased competition from all these existing movers end up canceling out the newfound accessibility that first-time buyers have only just managed to secure?